What Would I Do Without You? Chapter 3. On the first day of ninth grade, I opened my eyes when I realized my alarm clock was ringing. As I reached over to turn it off, I thought to myself, here it is. A new chapter of my life is about to begin. I felt a little nervous about the first day at a new school, but I couldn't wait to start. I already knew my classmates from junior high, and I was excited to meet the new ones from other schools. I got up, dressed, ate my breakfast, and was ready to walk out the door. Despite Chris's disrespectful behavior towards me, I agreed to meet him at the entrance of the schoolyard on the first day of school. I could tell he was a bundle of nerves. Come on, Dad. I'm going to be late, I urged my father. Okay, mijo. I'm coming, he chuckled. I stopped by my grandfather's room to say goodbye and to get my daily benediction. Abuelo, I will see you when I get back from school, I told him as I stood up to my full length. Okay, mijo. Have a good day. Because I was already 15, my dad let me drive to school so I could practice. By this time next year, I would have my driver's license. As usual, Dad would tell me exactly what to do at every stop and corner. It was irritating, but I would just let him talk. When we finally arrived at school, I parked half a block away. Mijo, why don't you get closer? Dad, I don't want the rest of the kids to think you dropped me off. I will see you later, I replied, shaking my head. I put the car in park, jumped out, and started walking towards the school. I heard my dad holler, "Good luck, mijo," as the car drove past me. Dad, of course, honked the horn and waved to me. How embarrassing, I thought to myself with a smile on my lips. Reaching the school's main entrance, I paused for a second and took a deep breath. Let's do this, I told myself. As I walked in, I didn't see Chris where he said he'd meet me, so I reached into my pocket and took out my schedule. Room 113 was my homeroom number and where I would report to every morning after first period. However, since today was the first day of school, we all had to go to homeroom first. I knew exactly where it was, located because of last year's visit. Walking down the hallway towards homeroom, I could see Chris from a distance. The look on his face was the same one he had the day that I met him. I could tell he was freaking out. Hey, Chris, what's going on? I asked as I approached him. Can you believe this? We are in high school. Aren't you nervous about the whole thing? It's very overwhelming, he said as he avoided making eye contact with me. No, man, it's no big deal, I said, trying to calm him. What homeroom do you have? I'm in 113. Great, I exclaimed with a smile. We are in the same room. Come on, we can do this together. I tried to catch his eye as I started to walk towards the room. I feel like this is the first day of elementary school all over again, Chris groaned. As we walked into the room, a kid sitting at a desk caught my eye. I quickly noticed his dirty blonde hair, light skin, and slender build. His large eyes caught my attention. They were a mixture of light blue with green and some hazel. I watched him while I deliberately selected a desk next to him, set down my book bag, and sat. I was intrigued that he never broke his stare from the blackboard. After realizing I myself was staring at him, I checked myself and glanced over to Chris, whose eyes were switching between the kid and myself. I felt self-conscious at being caught, but decided to befriend the boy anyway. Hey, what's your name? I asked him in a low voice and with a tight smile, trying not to sound too eager or gain the attention of the other kids in the room. His eyes flickered towards me and then Chris. Aaron Smith, he murmured as he returned his gaze to the blackboard. I was about to ask him another question when I felt Chris kick one of the legs of my desk. I turned to look at him and he gave me a questioning look. What? I mouthed to him. Let's sit over there, as he pointed to the corner. Why so far away? Why don't we sit next to this kid? We can start making friends, I whispered to him. Do you really want to start the first day of school on the wrong foot? Look at him. Look at his shoes. He's never going to be one of the popular kids. We start talking to him, and for sure we'll be labeled as one of the nerds, Chris whispered back harshly. What are you talking about? What is wrong with his shoes? He looks like a nice guy. Plus, he is probably kind of freaking out about his first day too. We could help him get through it, I replied in less than a whisper as I watched Aaron. Aw, poor baby. Does he want his mommy? Chris retorted sarcastically. My eyes shot back to Chris. I wouldn't talk, I huffed as I rolled my eyes and then looked away. What did you say, faggot? He asked loudly as he punched my arm. I looked around nervously at the use of that word, and before my heart could drop to my knees at the insult and assumption, I growled back. Hey man, calm down. What the hell's wrong with you? I refuse to start the year talking to losers like him, Chris spat out, his eyes boring holes into the back of Aaron's head. I was utterly confused. There was no explanation for Chris's behavior or insults towards me, and especially towards someone completely new to us. I sat and turned my back to Chris, hoping no one, especially Aaron, had been paying attention to us. I was so lost in my bewilderment that I didn't notice the teacher had started introducing herself. I recollected myself quickly. Classes were only about half an hour long on the first day because they were only introductions to the courses. Teachers told us what they expected from us and handed out books for the semester. It was a short day, so there was no lunch hour. As the day went on, I could not believe how many kids already knew each other. It appeared like most of the students had come from the same school and were already friends. So many times I tried talking to different kids, but it seemed like they were unwilling to make new friends. I also noticed I was being sized up. It was as if all the kids measured each other based on their shoes and backpacks. I could tell they were intent on seeing what brand people were wearing. What's going on? I thought to myself. Is this what it's going to be like all year long? It felt like I was an alien that everyone wanted to stay away from, but I couldn't figure out why. As I headed out to where I knew my dad would be waiting for me, I noticed Aaron walking down the hallway, headed in the same direction. Hey Aaron, I called out. Wait up! He didn't seem to hear me because he did not so much as slow down. I walked a little faster to catch up with him. Hey Aaron, I was calling you. Slightly out of breath, I slowed down and readjusted my backpack on my shoulder. Oh, sorry man. Was that you? I really didn't think someone would be calling out my name, he said, averting his eyes from my general direction. Why would you think that? I was always the type to get a little too personal, a little too quickly, but I couldn't stop myself from wanting to know more. The feelings of alienation had me feeling upside down in the few short hours at this new school. Well, because I am not exactly a popular kid, he said. I know most of these kids from my junior high, and they still don't talk to me. I couldn't understand why people would not want to talk to him. He seemed like a nice guy. I could tell that he had a nice build by the way his shirt fit him. It outlined his chest and hinted that he was cut. It was also obvious he had a nice behind because his pants fit tight around it. He was also kind of cute. The route my thoughts took in that moment caught me by surprise. Did I just think that? I asked myself. I quickly recovered, but could not shake the desire to know Aaron better. So I guess asking how your day went would be a stupid question, huh? I chuckled nervously. It's just like any other day. I came to school and heard people talking about me behind my back. I'm sure you remember this morning. He quickly glanced at me, then continued as he looked the other way. Learned a few things, and now I'm going home. Oh, and I wasn't freaking out this morning. I just wanted to get the day started. So you heard us, huh? Sorry, bro. Chris can be a jerk sometimes. He was not like that before. I don't know what's up with him, I said. Probably because he is trying to fit in with the popular kids. I'll see you later, he quipped as he walked away. There were so many emotions rolling through my mind and even my body. He does fill in those pants nicely. Ugh, why am I still thinking that way? Those thoughts stopped me in my track as I watched him walk away. Then, through the corner of my eye, I spotted Chris and a couple of other guys walking in my direction. I felt pleased he had made some friends and excited at the prospect of meeting new guys. A huge smile overcame my face. However, one of the boys walking with Chris looked at me, then turned to one of his friends, then pointed and laughed. I couldn't hear what he told the others, but I noticed Chris looked to see who they were talking about. When he realized it was me, he quickly hung his head and acted as if I wasn't even there. I attempted to say hi to Chris as a group walked past me, but Chris never looked up to meet my gaze. Several of them began laughing, and one of them even turned to me and made a goofy face. I couldn't believe what just happened. Did Chris really blow me off? I watched to see if he would at least turn around, but he didn't. What a day. I felt betrayed and upset about the whole thing. I just wanted to go home. A couple of hours later, I sat in my bedroom and thought about how this much anticipated day had turned out. It was a very disconcerting and ultimately disappointing day. Why was it so hard to make friends when it used to be so easy for me? Isaac, I'm home, my mother yelled to me as she walked in the front door. Great. Now I have to explain to her how this crappy day went, I thought to myself. I'm in my room, Mom, I yelled back. How did your day go, mijo? She asked as she looked into my room. I don't want to talk about it, I told her. She looked at me from my bedroom door, and I could tell she was trying to settle in mentally. Well, I'm going to make dinner for us, and you will have to talk about it then. I gave her a look that meant I did not agree, but all she did was turn around and walk away. A little after that exchange, Dad arrived from work. Later that evening, we sat at the table for dinner. My parents and abuelo talked about their day and what obstacles they would have to face the rest of the week. I tried to eat my food, but the whole time I anticipated that Mom would ask about my day again. When they stopped talking, my mother turned to me and I thought, here it comes. So what happened today at school, Isaac? Why do you look so upset? Did something happen, son? My dad asked. Mom, I started. However, before I knew it, she interrupted me and said, Mijo, if something happened, you will feel better if you talk about it. Okay, well, today was the worst day of my life, I said as I threw my arms in the air and let them slam onto the table. My parents looked at each other, then back at me. I like my teachers and schedule, but I am not too sure about the students. I tried to make friends, but nothing worked. I did meet this one guy, Aaron, but for some reason, no one wants to hang out with him, even though he knows most of the students from his previous school. Why do you think no one wants to talk to this kid? Is there something about him that no one likes? Mom asked, trying to give me more time to talk it out. I shrugged and played with the last few kernels of corn on my almost empty plate. From what I understand, he isn't a popular kid at school. Plus, students seem to care more about what you are wearing and how much money your family has. After I said that, I slumped further into my seat. What do you mean, what they are wearing? It is a private school. Everyone is wearing the same thing, she reasoned, referring to the uniform we were required to wear. I took a deep breath and resigned myself to explaining things I really wasn't in the mood to discuss. Yeah, but How much your shoes, socks, hairstyle, and book bag cost means a lot, and if it's by the right designer. Look, Isaac, your father and I try our hardest to make sure that you have everything you need. We both have to work so that we can support this family and to make ends meet. If we can't give you all those expensive things, then you have to understand. You do understand, right? Yeah, I understand. Plus, you also have new expenses with my brother being away at school. I get it, I said. I truly wasn't upset about that. It was something else that bothered me. I felt like those kids saw something I didn't see. Isaac, you know that you should be proud of who you are and what you believe in. Never change who you are because someone doesn't agree with what you stand for. Life has a lot of obstacles that will be thrown your way. But I am proud to say that all these years your mom and I have watched you grow up, you have made such good decisions. Be true to yourself and to others, and you will see how things begin to fall into place. After my dad spoke those words, his eye contact lingered, and I could tell that he understood more than even I did. I could not articulate my emotions at the moment, but these simple words brought comfort to me. I gave him a small smile. Okay, Dad, I will. I took one more bite of my dinner and asked to be excused. Walking to my bedroom, I kept hearing my father's words over and over, and they made me think about my life and who I thought I was. I heard the phone ring, and after a few minutes, my father called for me. Isaac, your brother is on the phone. He wants to talk to you. Okay, coming, Dad. I jogged over to where he was standing. As I picked up the phone, I took a deep breath to clear my head of my thoughts and to give my brother my full attention. Hi, how's it going? What's going on, bud? He asked. Don't even ask, I sighed as I leaned into the phone receiver to whisper. Did you ever have trouble making friends? No, not at all. Why do you ask? I heard him whispering something to someone on his end of the line. Man, it's been crazy. Most of these kids are not friendly at all. I had such a hard time meeting people today. And the ones from St. Mary's seem to already have friends and are not willing to open the circle. I tried to explain. Hang in there, kid. It will all get better, I promise. And then he made a quick comment to someone who was with him in person. Yeah, sure, I responded. I had hoped he had more advice for me since I had never seen him struggle with making friends. Hey, I have to get to the library to get some work done. I just wanted to say hi and check in on you. Hang in there. Trust me when I say it will get better, he rushed. Okay, talk to you later. After I hung up, I went back to my room and fell face first onto my bed. I was overwhelmed with the day's events and my rolling thoughts. I turned onto my back and suddenly remembered the flood of thoughts I was having about guys instead of girls. This made me even more anxious. I fell asleep thinking, tomorrow is another day. Maybe things will be different. I made it to Friday, but I couldn't wait for the last bell to ring. Things had not changed throughout the week, except for the way Chris was acting. He seemed to get worse as the days went by. It had only been a week, but we were now at the point where he wouldn't even look at me when we passed each other in the hallway. That Friday morning, I was running late, and when I made it to homeroom, a kid named Roger and Chris were sitting together at the back of the class. Based on the look that Roger gave me when I entered the room, I knew I had to look away and avoid eye contact. I quickly took my seat next to Aaron, and even though I had had this seat since the first day, I had not spoken to Aaron since then. Hi Aaron, what's up? I breathed out as I sat, my eyes still watching Chris and Roger exchange glances. Aaron was looking down at a flyer when he muttered, Nothing, just thinking about which club I want to join this year. I'm definitely going to sign up for the student council, but I am also thinking about the chess club and library club. Wow, This guy really likes to keep himself busy, I thought to myself. I was thinking about running track, and I wanted to join the swim team, but I guess it's kind of hard when there is no swim team here, I said with a giggle in my throat. When I saw that he didn't react to my idea of a joke, I added, maybe I'll join yearbook club. I think it'll be fun to take pictures of pep rallies and student activities throughout the year and then arrange them in the book. I thought maybe I was talking too much, but he engaged in the conversation. We talked about the different activities the school offered when, all of a sudden, a piece of paper hit Aaron on the back of his head. I looked behind him and saw Chris and Roger trying to hide guilty smirks. I felt like getting up and walking over to tell those jerks off, but Aaron told me to let it go. I looked at him with questions on the tip of my tongue, but the bell rang. I waited for Chris to pass me on his way out, fully expecting him to tell me something. However, it was evident that he was becoming an expert at ignoring me. Although Chris' cold behavior towards me continued throughout the school year, Aaron and I became good friends. Along the way, we picked up a small group of friends, 6 of us. We were not exactly the popular group, but we didn't care because we had a good time with each other. My little group consists of James, who was as unpopular as we appeared to be. This dumbfounded me because he was very good looking and athletic. There was also Sam, short for Samantha. She was a pretty girl with long, dark brown hair and big brown eyes that made her look like a Precious Moments figurine, except she had some dangerous curves. Melissa was the one with dark blonde hair and clear blue eyes as big as saucers. Mary was a cute bookworm, which automatically excluded her from the popular group. Aaron, James, and myself rounded out the group as the only males. We attended a lot of the school functions together and volunteered our time at the local children's museum, hospitals, and the after-school programs at the elementary school nearby. On the weekends, we would walk the mall and people watch. The popular kids we encountered never failed to point and laugh as we'd pass each other in public. Ninth grade was not at all what I thought it would be. In retrospect, I understand now why my parents told me not to change for anyone. I realize people can change you, and it can happen without you even knowing it. Peer pressure is what they call it. Chris was a perfect example. Still, even though it was not what I expected, our group of 6 people made high school fun. Thank you for listening, and if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. And stay tuned for Chapter 4 of What Would I Do Without You. Until next time.